Once again, here's your host, Alan Hirsch.
Welcome back to the show. My guest this segment is Jason Schwartzberg. He's the president of MD Energy Advisors. Actually, there are two parts of the business, but I'll let him explain that in a minute. But my first question, every guest is always, what motivates you to get up in the morning and go to work?
Sure. I usually pop up pretty early right now, Alan. I have a 1-year-old at home, so she gets us going pretty early. I have a 9-year-old as well, but the 1-year-old has got us up at the crack of dawn. And
if not long before that.
Sure. I just like building things. I've really enjoyed building this company since 2010 over time. And the ultimate goal is to leave a legacy for my 2 children. Okay.
So explain a little bit, because as you've explained to me, MD Energy Advisors really has 2 areas of operation.
Sure.
So why don't you explain that to the listeners?
Sure. So we have 2 sides of our business. We have a consumer-facing side that really focuses on the residential market. That trades as PointClickSwitch.com. It provides one-stop shopping for people interested in lowering.
And that's Point Click Switch.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, PointClickSwitch.com. It provides one-stop shopping for folks who are interested in shopping their energy provider. So that's the first part of the business you mentioned. The other side of the business is really commercially focused.
Well, let's talk about the consumer focus first of all.
Sure.
So a lot of people even today don't know that energy service is unregulated.
Sure.
They think they get their BG&E bill and their energy is BG&E.
Sure.
But number of years ago now, that all changed. So explain that to the listeners so they can understand how you then serve them from the consumer point of view.
Sure. No, it's a great question. So you can competitively shop for your energy just like you shop for your cable or your internet. There's alternative energy providers out there that you can purchase your power from. You still will get your power delivered from the utility. You still write your check to the utility, and you still call the utility if you have a power outage. All you're doing is comparing the rate that the utility is charging for energy supply, versus the other options in the marketplace. And Point Click Switch aggregates those competitive offers in the marketplace, and the idea is it allows you to point click switch your way to energy savings.
Okay, so you might be choosing an alternative supplier of the electrical energy, and it might be a different price whether you use I remember looking at it myself. Depends upon if they use a certain amount of solar versus all traditional coal, and but there's all these value and pricing structures that you make it easy for the consumer to decide what energy supplier they're using.
Yeah, on the residential side, it's even cleaner than that. It's off-the-shelf pricing. So the utility will, in Maryland, typically price semi-annually. They'll set their prices twice a year. So you could look at the rates that we have from our competitive options on the market. And I think it's important to note, these are very large companies like a Constellation or a Washington Gas or WGL. They're not, Alan and Jason's energy company at the end of the day, providing competitive options. And as you articulated, you can shop based on price. You can shop based on term. We also have renewable options as well, where you could potentially be buying power that is, generated by wind or other means.
Yeah, so that you can put your social issues partially in the decision of the energy supplier you get.
Sure. And there's also right now a nice value proposition too. You're probably looking at 10 to 15% savings versus the supply rate provided by the local utility.
And then you pick the rate for a certain amount of time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on our site, there's really 3 levers on the residential side. There's rate. Is it fixed or variable? All of our options are fixed rate options. It's for a defined period of time, 6 months to 36 months typically. And is there a termination penalty if you were to terminate the offer, just like your cell phone contract? Our goal was to make it very efficient, to provide a one-stop shopping comparison platform that in a transparent manner highlighted, again, rate, term, and cancellation fee, if any.
Okay. Well, Before we talk about the commercial, just want to remind the listeners that I'm Alan Hirsch of Alan Hirsch Advisors, and I'm talking to Jason Schwartzberg, president of MD Energy Advisors. And if you have any questions for him on energy or questions for me or any comments, give us a call, 410-481-1300. So let's talk a little bit about the commercial end, the other end of that dual focus that you have.
Sure. So on the commercial side, it's much more like your financial advisor versus on the residential side, it's off-the-shelf pricing. On the commercial side, we take much more of a financial advisory approach. So putting together a custom package to address your energy spend based on your goals and objectives and associated risk tolerances. So
can you explain that? I mean, for the listeners, try to narrow that down to a little bit simpler language. I would appreciate it.
Sure. So most of our clients are in the commercial real estate space. So they're paying a rate per kilowatt hour if they haven't made a competitive choice out there in the marketplace. So we really have a dual focus, which is to lower the rate you're paying per kilowatt hour through our energy brokerage platform, and then lower the number of kilowatt hours that you're using or your consumption through our energy efficiency platform. And the goal is really lower total operating expenses for your building to improve your net operating income. When I was using the financial advisory example before, we can adjust your purchasing strategy based on your risk tolerances. So if you said, "Look, I'm risk adverse. I'm more of a fund investor, retirement fund 2040. I put my money in, and my portfolio is allocated." To meet those risk tolerances, we can help you do that.
So you can do an extended contract, so you know exactly what your energy costs are going to be per kilowatt over a period of time.
Sure.
Or if you're more risk tolerant,
Yep.
you could do it shorter periods of time.
Correct.
Hoping that it goes down versus going up.
Sure.
So it's just like if you buy a stock or buy a mutual fund. It
Sure.
depends what the goal is.
Yep.
But the other part of that, which really intrigues me, is the efficiency. So
Sure.
talk a little bit about how companies and how you work with companies to reduce their energy consumption, because you reduce the energy price by 10%, but if you can reduce the consumption by 20%,
Sure.
you've now compounded the total savings.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a couple of kind of low-hanging fruit in the energy efficiency business. There's lighting, there's HVAC, are the two areas that we really start initially. But if we do a holistic, review, we can layer in lighting, HVAC, window film. There's a lot of options out there in the marketplace, and there's rebates out there in the marketplace to offset some of the upfront capital expenditures for some of these options. But lighting projects, improving from existing technology to LED, you could see less than a 2 or 3 year payback on some of those implementations. And we try to take a concierge approach where we'll take you all the way through, help you with the rebate paperwork, and should you need it, we have financing solutions as well.
So great. So you've built this company over the last 7 years.
Yes.
Give me an example of something you did that we and I'm a firm believer, the only person that never did anything, never made a mistake is someone who never did anything.
Sure.
So along the line, a decision you made that could have been done better and what you learned from it.
Sure. I think it's a great question. I think one of the things we probably should have done a little earlier on is become a holistic provider. We were in our early years, we were really focused on strictly brokering the electricity and natural gas itself. It's still our core business. We still do a lot of it. But to the extent that we can provide holistic savings for our customers through attacking both sides, the commodity and the efficiency, it's just driving greater value to our customers. So we've been intentional with the energy efficiency probably for about the last 18 to 24 months, layering it into our offering, and I would like to have done that a little faster.
Okay. Well, thank you. I do want to thank you for being here. I do have to go to the next commercial break, but before I do that, how can the listeners reach you? And I guess there are two different websites for the commercial and one for the consumer. So why don't you give them both?
Sure. So the residential is pointclickswitch.com. So that's pointclickswitch.com. And the commercial is MD Energy Advisors, ADVISORS.com. So mdenergyadvisors.com.
Well, thank you very much, Jason, for being here.